Welcome to Master Performance. I'm Coach Mike. Today we're going to take you through a series of mobility drills and some stretches to take care of your hip flexors. When we're talking about the anterior hip or the front of the hip flexor, we're talking about two muscles specifically. One, it's more of a quad muscle. It's called your rectus femoris. So it attaches on that bony process that sticks out, goes down to about the middle or upper third of your thigh right there, okay? And then your psoas, which is a little bit deeper inside, harder to get to. It's a little bit more onto your spine. It crosses both your hip, your spine, and then attaches on the inside of your thigh there. Okay, so when we're doing this, these drills, what we want to do is we're going to start with the rectus femoris and then get a little bit more advanced into the psoas. Okay, so why we do these, why this is extremely important from day one, is if we have tight anterior hip capsule, when we pull forward like this, and that's what we call anterior tilt, okay, where we're like dumping forward, what that's going to do is that's going to tighten this rubber band up, and it's going to tug up on our knee or a quad, right? And that's where we get some people that complain of like patellar tendonitis type pain, or even worse, potentially, is when we rock forward, you'll notice, even if you're just standing here watching this video doing this, you'll notice your low back tightens up. If you walk around all day like this, if you back squat like this, etc., then you're going to know why we want to really target our front hip, okay? So when we're doing this, when we're going to start with our rectus femoris, the simplest drill we can possibly think of is Coach Nate here. He's literally just going to sit back onto his heels or onto his toes, whichever one's more comfortable for you. I certainly can't get into that right now, so if he can do this, great. If not, he'll curl his toes underneath, and then you're just working the range of motion that you have right now, okay? It's not where you're at now, it's where we're trying to get. So right now, you'll probably feel it a little bit lower towards the knee. That's perfectly fine. If you feel that and that's fine and you want to get a little bit more advanced with it, he'll just lean back and you'll feel that tension shift up towards the upper third of his thigh, maybe up into our hip flexor across that bone, or maybe even up into our abs a little bit, okay? So after that, when we get that one down, again, we're going to curl our feet underneath and progress range of motion there, okay? If we go from there to the bench here, what we're going to do is we're going to put his back foot up, and then what we're trying to do here first is we want to maintain a little bit of a forward lean. Right when you get into this position, you'll notice why if you go right up into that tall position, you might not even be able to get there, or you're going to dump forward anyway. If you're not feeling that, great, but if you are, start with a little bit of a forward lean. Okay, so when we're doing this, we're really targeting the knee joint here first, not so much the hip flexor on this side. So he's just going to rock forward and back about that knee joint, okay, and we're trying to get to that same position. Could you flip the legs for me? We're trying to feel it in that same position or same spot that we did in that previous drill. So it's going to start here probably, and then it's going to work its way up. As we reach mastery in this drill, then we'll go up into a taller torso position. We'll turn the glute on a little bit, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced, feel it higher up into that hip capsule. Okay, but before we do that, what we want to do is we're going to go right back to the mat here. And we're just going to do a static stretch first on one knee. Okay, and what we're trying to conceptualize here is we're trying to get his glute to turn on, okay? Because what that's going to do is that's going to shove that bone, that femur, a little bit forward in the joint, and then you'll notice we're going to feel it right in that target spot, that's psoas, okay? Because that crosses through this whole hip joint. So what we're trying to do is contract here and posteriorly or backwards tilt our pelvis, and then keep a neutral spine up top. Okay, with all this, of course, the psoas is tied into breathing, so you want to make sure that you're breathing through your belly, through your nose, and keeping that relaxed, not tight throughout this motion, okay? The next part of that, if you're good, like Coach Nate here, he's gonna grab his back foot, and then he can static stretch there, maintaining a strong glute, strong neutral spine, or he can rock forward and back, okay? But again, now he's rocking about his hip, his knee joint is kind of locked in, okay? So that would be the next progression, and then the final one here is we'll take that same thing over to a bench where we can get real fancy with it. And then he's going to do what we call a psoas rocker. So he's going to lean forward into that psoas position. As he comes back, he's going to twist his torso, and you'll feel a coiling type stretch all throughout the abs, into the hip flexor, down through the quad, maybe even up into the lat. And again, what he's trying to do with the breathing, since that's tied onto your diaphragm there, or intimately connected, is he's going to exhale as he reaches high, shoving his hip forward as much as he can with a strong glute, and then resetting his breath at the bottom. Okay, so we're thinking coiling and uncoiling, and then forward and back motion with our knee and our hip together to loosen up the front part of that hip capsule. So as you're sitting there watching this video, try some of these drills. Work through your progression from slow to fast. Understand the difference between each drill, where you feel it, in relation to your knee, your quad, and then your hip flexor. Try it out, leave a comment below, stop on in, like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and then thank you for watching, and follow along for some more videos in the future.